Or he should manage conflict if he thinks so, or he can do it successfully if he is able to. Of course, all the time there is if and but. The third is resolution in case there is over conflict. Things are going out of proportion. I think he should keep things stacked together so that the organization cannot be damaged totally, or it can have least impact, least damage on the organization. The fourth part is stimulating. If there is total inertia, no flow of ideas, nobody is putting, when there is no conflict, perhaps there may be not people are much interested. There may be peace of graveyard. But there has to be ideas, exchange of ideas. It may create some conflict for the organization. Let it be that the manager gets success, and he should not be worried about the should aspect or the philosophy aspect. We should always think that conflict can be used as a kind of resource also, when to extend in one particular form, in one shape, so that we can achieve the goals of the organization. Thank you very much, friends. Our panel would be willing to reply your queries with respect. Thank you very much. Okay.
2 minutes of questions, no more. Okay. If there's any questions.
Mr. The panel especially, not really a situation, but I see two situations wherein one is workplace which do not have any conflicts. I mean, there are very mediocre or low than mediocre people who do not get stimulated. So do you intend to say that the management should put a poster and say, well, the conflicts are welcome? That is one situation. And second is, suppose there is an organization, production, marketing, there's all 4, 5 rings, and every organization has got a number of conflicts, and they are not pursuing the corporate objective. Even the chief executive has got some conflicts with them. So, what do you have to really answer to this situation?
Actually, our answer is embedded in the interpretation of the philosophy of conflict. As I said, that Henry has made this without a case for differences, divided into 3 parts. There's discussion, competition, and conflict. The first type of situation under conflict that you are envisaging is in which there is an under conflict, because there is no flow of ideas, no discussion, no competitive element, nothing. So naturally there will not be any conflict. But if we feel that there should be flow of ideas, a better information system, broad-based information system, then some element of competitiveness for excellence. I mean, if we have these, perhaps an organization will not improve beyond a certain stage. That's why we feel that to build up an element of competition and discussion is good, not only for the organization, but also for the morale and the performance development of the workers. Now, the second type of situation that you said, that different marketing with different departments in an organization not having a focus on the corporate objectives and fighting with each other. Naturally, here there seems to be a case of over-conflict. And if they are fighting with each other and they are not working for common corporate objectives, definitely there is a need for disciplining them. I mean, proper coordination, proper cohesion, so that despite their some sort of differences, they are at least made to follow the line of the corporate practice.
And that aspect of announcing it, as you said, there is no question of announcing it. The thing is, as I mentioned, the symptoms, a good manager. When we talk about a manager should and can overcome conflict, we presume that the manager, is a good manager when we talk about how he should overcome conflict or how he should manage it. So, through the symptoms, he would discern and perceive, which I mentioned, perception. Perceive the situation, see the situation, correlate the factors and forces in the environment, and then take appropriate action.
His hands are always full of conflicts and problems. So he doesn't have even time to announce it, go outside or to make any play card that, well, please come. It's always coming. Though he is trying to brush it out, but it is always coming.
So any more conflicts about conflict?
Actually, perhaps this concern arises from a statement which came out 1 or 2 times where it was said because of the functional nature of conflict in certain companies, carried. But perhaps as an observation, my slight question is different from what you're saying. I also pick it up from there. When you're saying conflict should be encouraged.
For example, here we are.
Sorry, I haven't finished. When you say that, to what extent would a manager ensure that that conflict does not generate into chaos?
You are one.
I mean, just right now, after our presentation, because of your query, it is giving some more, it is opening more horizon. So it is all welcome. Conflict in this form, which is under conflict, is welcome thing. And had you not been asking this question, for example, then perhaps you could not have thought of another horizon. So it increases your horizon. But if ultimately, if it goes beyond limits, for example, after some discussion, if there are more acute conflict going on, that is called
Because of which
mishap
Group C
happens. So that is bad. That is bad.
That was because of which Group C cannot make his presentation. Then it becomes that level of conflict in this room would not be appropriate, not be good, which will deter Group C from giving a presentation. So it will not be in consonance with our consonance objective.
Group C will not avoid presentation, but it will force us to take which is why, of course, I occasionally have to resort to my position of authority in order to overcome the conflict, or at least to reduce the conflict.
Mr. Billtop, friends. Today I would like to present our topic is happy worker makes a good worker. So you can see that every manager, every planner, every decision maker, every problem solver try to think how to create productivity, how to make efficiency, effectiveness and productivity. So the most important thing is to make happy worker, and by happy worker can make a good worker. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to show you our general philosophy. This is our group general philosophy in terms of happy worker make a good worker, which is we believe that worker is a backbone of the organization. It is very important, backbone of the organization. An organization will progress as long as it gets back from the worker. But, you must remember that, but, worker will fed up. So it fed up if the worker do not put their best. So it will destroy organization if the worker is not happy with it. And ladies and gentlemen, now the question arises, how the best can emerge from worker? That is the most important. How the best can emerge from the worker? There are many management techniques to optimize output from non-human resources. Non-human resources is not human resources. For example, money, machine, material, technology, and etc., which can be applied with fair degree of accuracy as their behavior is reasonably predictable. But fortunately, that is not kept with the most important resource, which we call as worker or human resource. And ladies and gentlemen, we move on to why it is so. Why it is so. The main reason is that the worker is a wonderful, complex entity. We are human, everybody, that we are treated that we are as a worker who has a mind to think. We have got our thing and heart to feel. We are sensitive to the environment. We feel and we think. So therefore, This needs a human approach to involve himself for the best result. We need worker to involve himself to make it a best result. And ladies and gentlemen, now the issue is, what can make a worker involved in the work? And any case, why should he or she involve himself? Because we want worker, he or himself, involve himself. Here, we see that the basic factor which motivate and encourage. Now we go to motivation, and our friend is going to elaborate further. Motivates and encourages a person to do something. To encourage. Because we want to make it happy, worker. And it is from the time immemorial, either for satisfaction of his or basic needs. For example, security, survival, people need to survive. Security, physiological needs, or in pursuit of happiness. So there is so many theory will be elaborated by our friend later. And now, to go further, I would like to invite Captain GT to present, to elaborate more about happy worker make a good worker. Thank you very much.
Friends, I visualize myself today like playing one day international, wherein the other teams, they have really scored very good, and we have been forced to follow a very big total. Well, our opening batsman, I'm sure you'll accept, has given us a very good start. Now, as a middle order, I have to carry on. Well, I've got a caricature here for you. You may kindly read, and I would like to analyze. I'll give you a gist now. This is the famous caricature of Bumstead, you know. He's shown here as a worker, and the manager coming and asking him, what really are you doing? So he says that I'm just trying to arrange the clips and things and putting them around the elastic. And the employer says, don't you have anything else to do? Well, he's just whiling away his time, and the manager is really, taken aback. So what I mean to say that, just doing a work is no enjoyment or happiness. One has to really get involved in it. And I'm sure, as you have seen the involvement of our friend Mr. Nick, who's one of our happy men, his laughter resounds this Denison building. So we have started on with him. Now I'd like to mention and try to investigate how happiness comes. You see, I have tried to mention here that happiness may start with a man's or a human urge for a need. Need gives rise to his wants. Now, the want, it creates something. It causes something in the man. It could be tension, it could be some sort of activity which gives rise to the person, starting an action. He tries to act something which that action results into some sort of satisfaction. So the person is satisfied and he is happy. That is what my intention was, to show this particular picture. Now, gentlemen and the lady, there have been so many theories about motivation and happiness, and this has been quite prevalent since time immemorial. Employers, as well as in the earlier times, rulers or kings, did recognize that a happy worker or a happy subject is a better thing, and they used to recognize that by giving some rewards, etc. Now, there are so many propounders of this theory, and I'll not go so much in detail about it, but I would like to mention a few, which were, mentioned by these great men. One is the Maslow's theory. This is about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There are some degrees in it, so I would like you to first concentrate on the physiological needs. This is the first need in the person, which gives rise to hunger, thirst, sex, etc. These are the physiological needs, the first needs. Then, they go forward, and the second one would be safety needs. The safety needs could be protection against threats, dangers, etc. Subsequently, after this, the third need I feel is the social needs, which Maslow has mentioned, could be due to the society. It could be due to the belongingness or love, etc. Then he has categorized another need as esteem. The need for status, recognition, appreciation, etc. And I wish that is in me too. I want some appreciation. Well, and the last, as he has found out, is self-actualization. This is, what is the final sum total of a person doing something? He is wanting to get the realization of the potential of his personality. Now, after Maslow's theory, I have made an attempt to combine it with the famous theory of Herzberg, which is defined into two phases. Maslow's theory I have enumerated earlier, and now I have tried to make a comparison of Maslow's and Herzberg's theories of motivation. Herzberg's factors were two. That were the motivators and the maintenance factors. These are the two categorizations broadly. And I would like to mention all the motivators firstly, because they are most important. Well, they could be the challenging work, achievement, growth in the job, responsibility, advancement, and recognition. These are most important. And the second he has categorized are the status, interpersonal relations, quality of supervision, company policies and administration, working condition, job security, etc. Now, so far so. But what are the requirements subsequently? With the industrialization, with the emergence of so many industries and commercialization, it was realized that the answer was not complete. We have to really find out what would lead to the factors of a worker getting happy. And there is a very long list if I really get down to explaining you, but I have made an attempt to mention some of those important factors which can improve the state of happiness. I would like to start on with the quality of working life. The quality of working life means, how he's really doing the work, is he satisfied? Then I have further made a category of job satisfaction. The job satisfaction is, if the person is doing a job, is he really getting the kick out of it? Is he getting the satisfaction out of it? And job satisfaction, I have subdivided into three parts: job design, job enrichment, and job rotation. Now these are very important factors, and job enrichment one can get by giving authority, increasing accountability, and recognition, of course. If somebody does a job and there is a shabash or well done sort of factor, it is really recognized and it gives satisfaction. Well, another factor I have tried to highlight is participation. Instead of a very bureaucratic setup, if there is a teamwork like the Japanese are doing, if they have participation, that one really gets satisfaction and the workers are happy. This sort of things could be by allowing or accepting creativity, then innovation. For example, if I have got some ideas and if the immediate boss or the superiors, they encourage me to contribute into this innovation, they would be, workers will be really happy and satisfied. Well, not to mention that pay is a great factor. if it is rewarded by way of increments or if you get higher salaries, it is a factor. Equity. Well, you know, if it is perceived well that the fairness of pay in relation to the job done by others is equal, then you get some sort of satisfaction. There is no imbalance that so-and-so is doing the same job and he is getting less, or so-and-so is doing the same job and getting more. So that equity factor should be there. Well, there could be incentive schemes that if you increase production, you get bonus, or any sort of incentives. Another factor could be the career prospects. In case somebody knows that if he puts in good work, if he is innovative and creative, then he's bound to get promotion. So definitely that's a factor for his good job and happiness. Training and development. If there is training and development, if there is proper planning of manpower, the men are satisfied, they're happy. The same factor goes with working conditions and culture of the organization. If working culture is nice, people are treated well, if the environment is good, then people are happy and they get satisfied. Reward, punishment, policy of the organization, teamwork, quality circles. Well, I would not like to really go in detail of these. My other friends would be touching some of these points. But to mention that quality circle is one thing, with the Japanese system coming up, quality circle has really improved in the workers' happiness, in the work output, etc. So after having said all this, I'd like my next colleague, Mr. Bill, to come over and take charge. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Chivadi. Friends, my colleague just explained that who is a happy worker and what factors make a worker happy. Now, I would like to say a few words about how a happy worker makes a good worker, or alternatively, how can a happy worker contribute to achieve the desired goal? May I begin, if I can? What we usually tend to say is P, if P is the performance of an employee or a worker, this performance is the function of ability and willingness to do. This willingness to do is basically derived from happiness. As my friend mentioned earlier, happiness is the state of mind, and it is a pure psychological factor which has great impact on the performance of an employee or worker. So, the willingness to do of an employee or worker increases or decreases, the performance of the worker also increases and decreases. In this relation, to support this statement, there have been many studies and research. For instance, hence we can cite an example from William James. Let's see what the work done by William James. I think it's good. In brief, according to him, what he came with out with fact is, if a worker is unhappy, he or she contributes with the ability of 20 to 30% towards the performance. On the other hand,
if an employee or a worker is motivated or is happy, he or she can contribute with the ability of 80 to 90% towards the achievement of desired goal. Now, if this much is the area affected by the happiness, i.e. motivation, here question may arise, what is the percentage of ability that could be contributed towards the performance? The answer would be the minimum ability of an employee or a worker would be 50% and maximum would be 70%, which can be calculated simply by 90% minus 20%, that is this change, this is 20%, and 80 minus 30, this is 50%. Now, friends and respected group, having said this, and to move on the rest part of the presentation, I would like to invite my friends, Harit, in front of you. Harit, thank you. So, in present days, when a cricket match is going on, and if we say it's a tournament of 3 teams, I am from the last team and last person of the last team. So, I will not like to take audience to wait for more and making the job of referee also more difficult. I will be short, and the last man in any presentation has a moral responsibility to sum up the case, and secondly to answer the questions, which may come in the form of bouncers, which either I will hook or I will duck. So we started our case. We started our case with the importance and role of the worker in the organization. In the beginning, we started with the leaders, and leaders are definitely an important necessity, and they come up whether we like it or not. But the problem is sometimes more leaders come than they are necessary. And what happens? The conflict comes. The conflict, for resolving the conflict, the manager plays the role. But leaders or managers, their reputation or their utility lies upon the workers, from whom they have to take work, who has to do the job. My friends' view that the workers are the backbone of the organization thus testifies it. Now, as it was pointed out earlier, workers are human beings. And human beings have their own complexities. It is not a machine part which can be produced in great numbers, or it can be produced in a with precision, that everybody will have that much length and breadth. No, every human being is unique and has to be treated as in that way. As pointed out by Mr. Tiwari, who gave some brief hint of the theory, I will say brief hint only, because theories are many and time is short. And with the presence of a wide audience who have read all the theories, either in the class or through various books in the library, and secondly, because they are the practicing managers, they are also dealing with these things in the day-to-day life in the organization. So I will not elaborate more on that thing. I will simply say that theory is a necessity for any subject. My colleague, Mr. Dill, introduced a mathematical formula in it. And I could see the impression on some of the faces. They were rather perplexed to see a formula in a such type of subject. Now it has been said that mathematics is the queen of the sciences. And no science gets a flavor unless it gets decorated by a mathematical formula. Thus, we introduce a very simple formula. Actually, it is not even formula in that sense. It simply gives a functional relationship between performance and ability and willingness. We did not go in a more complex, but I will add only one point. Not only William James,
but other authors have also come to the same sort of relationship in other subjects. From there, I move up to the later experiences and impact of culture and technology, etc. As has been said, these theories, they were developed in phases. We could see Huffman's experiment, we could see Maslow-Herzberg theories, and we can see the Handy's work. These theories got developed most of the time in the UK or USA, and many got developed when the industrialization started picking up the pace. And they have gone well to explain most of the, or some part of the variability in performance of the workers. But these theories have got to be revised or to reviewed when we come to the late 70s, when Japanese overtook Americans and even Europeans in the productivity. If these theories were right, why Japanese went much ahead of others? And if these theories were not so right, what was missing? This emergence of Japanese and even some other smaller countries have forced thinkers or researchers in this field to once again review this aspect. And we can proudly see that culture, Japanese working culture, has played a very large part of it. Again, if you see the specialty of Japanese culture is there, the worker. In Japan, worker joins a company and leaves the company only at the time of retirement. He gets so much involved with the company that he takes it as a family, and even the company takes a lot of care to see that he is happy and he remains happy. Again, we see that happiness is not a static state of mind. It changes. Perception of a person about happiness changes. Perception of a company about happiness changes. So, our group is of the view that though happy worker is a good worker, but it should not be taken in such a absolute terms. Happiness creates a good worker, but we also come to the conclusion that finally a good worker becomes happy. This is our, and I can take this liberty to say that those who are present here, they are good workers, they are happy workers, and therefore they are good workers. And with a slight, lighter vein, I can say good workers have few questions. Thank you. But I am prepared to answer questions if my colleagues can say.
You have preempted.
No.
I'll begin by one comment.
Yeah.
Yes. There was an objectionable comment. This is Joe. You said mathematics is the queen of sciences, and no flavor is good unless it is decorated with mathematics. If mathematics is queen, then does it have only decorative value, no functional value? That was joke. Don't do that.
Okay.
Second part, I tend to agree with you. You said that good, I will start with the negative point first. A happy worker is a good worker. Do you feel that always a happy worker is a good worker? Because if that is the case, then most of the public sector organizations, where I think the level of happiness of workers at a lower level is certainly should be much more than the level of happiness in a private sector organization because of various factors. But even then it is not reflected in terms of work output.
So, okay. First of all, speaking about mathematics, and
that was a joke.
no, okay, I will, because I am in the split of mathematics.